Economics, Standard 12, Unit 7, International Economics, Meaning and Types of Trade. International economics is that branch of economics which is concerned with the exchange of goods and services between two or more than two countries. Hence, the subject matter is mainly related to foreign trade. So, international trade or international economics deals with foreign trade. Foreign trade. So, international trade or international economics deals with foreign trade. Meaning, trade is one of the. So, what is the meaning of international economics? And international economics deals with foreign trade. Trade with more than one or two countries. And trade is one of the most powerful forces of economic integration. It is one of the most powerful forces of economic integration. The term trade means exchange of goods, wares, mercantile among people. So the term trade means exchange of goods, wares or mercantile among people. There are main two types of trade. The types of trade, among that internal trade and international trade. So types of trade. Types of trade. So here we have internal trade. The another international. Internal trade and international trade. So what is internal trade? It's easily we can understand that within the country, a trade within the country. It refers to the exchange of goods and services within the political and geographical boundaries of a nation. So within the country. It is a trade within a country. This is also known as domestic trade, home trade or intra-regional trade. So, internal trade means within the country. So, first trade takes place within the country. And second point, we have to remember, it is known as internal trade or we call it as home trade. It is called as home trade. And it takes place within the boundaries of a country. So it is also known as domestic trade and intra-regional trade. Domestic trade. Domestic trade. And intra-regional. Intra-regional trade. Whereas international trade means the trade of exchange of goods and services between two or more than two countries. So, in other words, it is a trade among different countries or trade across political and geographical boundaries. So, just opposite of internal trade. So, internal trade is within the country, whereas international trade is just trade with other countries. So, it is also called as external trade or foreign trade or inter-regional trade. So, international trade is beyond the boundaries. Beyond the boundaries within other countries. Beyond the boundaries with other countries. And then it is known as external trade. External trade. And it is also known as inter-regional trade. Inter-regional trade. Inter-regional. So there are two types of trade, and internal trade and international trade. There are many differences between internal trade and international trade. Let us see one by one. There are many differences between internal trade and international trade. Let us see some of them. So, internal trade takes place within the country, within the geographical and political boundaries of a country. So, internal trade. And international trade. So, first difference is internal trade takes place within the country. Within the country. International trade takes place with more than two countries. So, with other countries. With other countries. So, automatically there will be a lot of differences between internal trade and external, that is international trade. So, labor and capital moved very freely from one place to another in internal trade. Since it is within the country, labor and capital can be easily moved. So, second point, labor and capital, the two important production, labor and capital, can be easily moved. Can be easily moved. But whereas labor and capital cannot be easily moved. So here labor and capital cannot be easily moved. So this is the important point, because labor and capital are the two important factors of production. And third point, that is, there will be a free flow of goods and services since there are no restrictions. So, flow of goods and services are very free because there are no restrictions. So, no restrictions. But whereas here, international trade, since trade is with other countries, of course, goods and services do not easily move from one country to another, since there are a number of restrictions like tariff and quota. So, you see, more restrictions. Namely, just like a tariff, like tariff and quota. So this you have to remember. So within the country, since there are free, no money, no much restrictions in it. But whereas when we compare with the international trade, then goods and services cannot easily move from one place to another, and so automatically there are a number of restrictions like tariff and quota. And then there is a common currency prevailing in internal trade, only one common currency. So fourth point, only one common currency. But whereas, since international trade is with many countries, with other countries, there are different currencies. So this is also you have to remember. And immediately you can think of that. The physical and geographical conditions of your country are the same and more or less similar. But international trade, there are differences in physical and geographical conditions of the two countries and more than two countries. So differences, physical and geographical conditions, physical and geographical, same, but whereas here different physical and geographical conditions. So the first 5 points we have to remember. One is within the country trade takes place, and here the trade takes place with other countries. Here labor and capital can be easily moved, but whereas in the international trade labor and capital cannot be easily moved. No restrictions are followed, more restrictions like tariff and quota, and only one common currency prevails. But in international trade, different currencies are there, and here physical and geographical conditions are the same, but in international, since dealing with other countries, the physical and geographical conditions are different. Now let us see some more points regarding this. Sixth point is trade and financial regulations are more or less same in internal trade. Trade and financial regulations. Trade and financial regulations are more or less same. Regulations are same. But international trade with other countries. So trade and financial regulations such as interest rate, trade laws differ between countries. See interest rates, that is for example, interest rates and trade laws. So trade laws differ. Interest rates and trade laws. Trade laws differ from country to country. And seventh point is there is no difference in political appreciations, customs and habits of the people as well as government policies. But in international trade, differences are prevailed or differences are pronounced much in political appreciations and habits and customs of the people and government policies. So we can easily say that the seventh point, government policies and habits and customs of the people are the same. So habits and government policies are the same. Policies are the same. But whereas here habits and government policies are differ. Habits of the people and government policies differ. Policies differ from country to country. So that's also another important point. And remember, the most important points, whatever we have discussed, is here in internal trade, trade is within the country with other countries. This is within the boundaries of geographical and political boundaries of your country. So labor and capital can be easily moved from one place to another, but whereas international trade, labor and capital cannot be easily moved from one place to another. Same thing, the flow of goods and services within the country is easier than international trade. And the most important point is common currency prevails in the internal trade, but differ in currencies, because international trade deals with other countries. So currencies also differ. And the same way, trade and financial regulations are same in internal trade, but interest rates and trade laws, there are certain examples that differ in international trade. The habits of the people, customs of the people, and the government policies are the same in internal trade, but whereas habits and government policies differ from country to country in the international trade. Even though, and you know, that is internal trade is known as home trade, or what we call it is intra-regional trade. But whereas international trade is known as foreign trade and inter-regional trade. Though there are many differences between internal trade and international trade, there are a lot of gains that we attain from international trade. The first one is exports. Surplus goods are exported from one country to another very easily. And same thing, imports. The goods that cannot be produced in a particular country can easily import goods from other countries. Or the goods that can be produced for high cost, they can easily just import from other countries. And the other important point is efficient production prevails, and also equitable distribution of scarce resources also take place in the international trade. Prices are also equalized. And the main important general advantages of international trade is that is availability of variety of goods for consumption. Second is that is more employment opportunities are found, and industrialization of what we call it as backward countries also can be done. Improvement in relationship among countries and division of labor and specialization is taken place. Yes, expansion in transport facilities are also occur because of this international trade.